Enter stage right. Hello, folks. So, I'm gonna do Paradise Lost today. Yeah. It didn't, decide to do this video all dressed up because, I just came from court, deciding my fate. Yeah. Anyways, if you really want to know how that all went, very quick, very efficient, as good as it could be, till the next meeting, and that's something. You get called sir by a judge, so I'll take that. Anyways, so I'm gonna do book 4 of Paradise Lost, since this is the 4th volume of the history of propaganda, and it's Satan's entry into paradise, Adam and Eve in their bower. So this is going to be a lot. Anyways, I'm going to read this in preparation to going through Leviathan from front to back, because of course Leviathan is it's Middle English, and John Milton here is, I'm trying to remember when this was published. In a second here. (1674), the 2nd edition. So published around the same time period. Now, I sure as hell am not going to allow myself to put on any kind of registry, because that's what it's laughable. Definitely Paradise Lost for me. This tragedy of trying to, I don't know, see the better in someone else. Oh, for that warning voice which he who saw the apocalypse heard crying heaven aloud. Then when the dragon put the second rout, came furious down to revenge on men. Woe to the inhabitants on earth, that now, while time was, our first parents had been warned, the coming of their secret foe, and scaped haply, so scaped his mortal snare for now, so perhaps deadly. Satan, now first inflamed with rage, came down, the tempter ire, the accuser of mankind, to wreak on innocent frail man his loss of that first battle and his first flight to hell. Yet not rejoicing in his speed through bold, far off and fearless, nor with cause to boast, begin his dire attempt, which nigh the birth, now rolling, boils in his tumultuous breast, and like a devilish engine back recoils. Upon himself horror and doubt distract his troubled thoughts, and from the bottom stir the hell within him, for within him hell he brings, and round about him, nor from hell one step no more than from himself can fly, by change of place now conscious wakes despair, that slumbered wakes the bitter memory of what he was, what is, and what must be, worse, of worse deeds. Worse sufferings must ensue. Sometimes towards Eden, which now in his view lay pleasant, his grieved look he fixes sad. Sometimes towards haven and the full blazing sun, which now sat high in its meridian tower, Then much revolving thus inside began. O thou that with surprising glory crowned, lookest from thy sole dominion like the God of this new world, at whose sight all stars hide their diminished heads. To thee I call, but with no friendly voice, and add thy name, O Sun, to tell thee how I hate thy beams, that bring me to my remembrance of what state I fell, how glorious once above thy sphere, till pride and worse ambition threw me down, warring in heaven against heaven's matchless king. Ah, wherefore? He deserves no such return from me, whom he created what I was, in the bright eminence, and with his good, unbraided none. Nor was his service hard. What could be less than to afford him praise, the easiest recompense, and pay him thanks? How do? Yet all his good proved ill in me, and wrought but malice. Lifted up so high, I stained subjection, and through one step higher would set me highest, and in a moment quit the debt immense of endless gratitude. So burthen some still, so always still paying, still to owe. Forget what from him I still received, and understood not that grateful mind by owing owes not, but still pays at once. Indebted and discharged, what burden then? Oh, had his powers destiny ordained me some inferior angel, I had stood, then happy, no unbounds. Hope had raised ambition, yet why not? Some other power as great might have been aspired, and me through me drawn to his part. But other powers as great fell not, but stand unshaken from within, or from without, to all temptations armed. Hadst thou the same free will and power to stand, whom hast thou then, or what to accuse? But heaven free love dealt equally to all. But then his love accused, since love or hate, to me alike it deals eternal woe. Nay, cursed be thou, since again he is thy will, chose freely what is now, so justly rules. Me miserable! Which way shall I fly? Infinite wrath and infinite despair. Which way I fly in hell? Myself am hell, and in the lowest deep, a lower deep, still threatening to devour my opens wide, to which the hell I suffer seems a haven. Oh, then at least relent. Is there no place left for repentance? None for pardons left? None left but by submission, and that word disdain forbids me. And my dread of shame among the spirits beneath, whom I seduced with other promises and other vaunts, than to submit. Boasting I could subdue the omnipotent me. They little know how dearly I abide, that boast so vain, under what torments inwardly I groan. While they adore me for the throne adore me on the throne of hell, with diadem and scepter high advanced, the lower still I fall, only supreme. In misery such joy ambition finds, but say I could repent and could obtain, by act of grace, my former state, how soon would height recall high thoughts, how soon unsay what faint submission swore, ease would recant vows made in pain as violent and void. For never can true reconcilement grow, where wounds of deadly hate have pierced so deep, which would be led to me to a worse relapse and heavier fall. So should I purchase dear, short intermission brought with double smart. This knows my punisher, therefore as far from granting he as I from begging peace. All hope exclude, thus behold instead of us outcast, exiled his new delight. Mankind created, and for him this world, so farewell hope, and with hope farewell fear, farewell remorse, all good to me is lost. Evil be thou my good, by thee at least. Divided empire with heaven's king I hold, by thee, and more than half prepared will reign, as man ere long, and this new world shall know. Thus, while he spake, each passion dimmed his face, thrice changed with pale ire, envy, and despair, which marred his borrowed visage, and betrayed him counterfeit if an eye beheld. For heavenly minds from such distemper fools are ever clear, whereof he's soon aware. Each perturbation, so perturbed, smooth with outward calm, artifice or fraud, and was the first that practiced falsehood under saintly show. Yet, deep malice to conceal, couched, so hidden, with revenge. Yet not enough had practice to deceive. Uriel once warmed, whose eye pursued him down the way he went on the Assyrian mount. The Nifits, Assyria, Syria. Saw him disfigured more than could befall. Spirit of happy sort, his gestures fierce. He marked in mad demeanor then alone, as he supposed all unobserved, unseen. So on he fares into the border comes of Eden, where delicious paradise now nearer crowns with her enclosure green, as with the rural mound and the champaign head of a steep wilderness, whose hairy sides with the thicket overgrown, grotesque and wild, access denied, and overheard upgrew insuperable heights of loftiest shade, cedar and pine and fir and branch palm, sylvan scene, and as the ranks ascend shade above shade, a woody theater, a stateliest view, yet higher than their tops of the verdurous vault of paradise upsprung, which to our great general sire gave prospect large into his nether empire neighborhood round, and higher than that a wall circling row of godliest trees loaded with fairest fruit, blossoms and fruit at once of golden hue appeared with gay enameled colored mixed, on which the sun more glad impressed his beams than in fair evening cloud or humid bow. When God has showered the earth, so lovely seemed that landscape, and of purer air meets his approach, and to the heart inspires vernal delight and joy, able to drive all sadness but despair. Now gentle gales, fanning their odoriferous wings dispense native perfumes, and whisper whence they stole those balmy spoils, as when to them who sail beyond the Cape of Hope, and now are past Mozambique, off at a sea northeast wind blow, Sabian odors from the spicy shore. I like that, spicy shore. Yeah. Of Arabe the blessed, with such delay, was well pleased, and they slacked their course in many a league, cheered with the grateful smell of old ocean smiles. So entertained these odorous sweet, the fiend who came their bane, though with them better pleased than Asmodeus with the fishy fume that drove him through enamored from the spouse of Tobit's son, with a vengeance sent from Medea post to Egypt, there fast bound, now to the ascent of the steep savage hill. Satan had journeyed on skip the page there. Which way Yeah. Savage Hill, 781. These pages are thinner than a Bible. There we go. Satan had journeyed on, pensive and slow, but further way found none, so thick entwined of one continuous brake, the undergrowth, shrubs, entangling bushes had perplexed all path of man or beast that passed that way. One gate there only was, and that looked east on the other side, which then the arch felon saw, due entrance he disdained, and in contempt at one slight bound hill overleaped all bound of hill or highest wall, and sheer within, lights on his feet, as when a prowling wolf, whom hunger drives to seek no haunts of prey, watching where shepherds pen their flocks at eve, in hurdled coats amid the fields secure, leaps o'er the fence with ease into the fold, or as the thief bent to unhoard the cash of some rich burgher, whose substantial doors, cross-barred and bolted fast, fear no assault, at the window climbs o'er the tiles. So clomb this first grand thief into God's fold, so since into his church lewd hirelings climb. Thence up he flew, and on the tree of life, the middle tree and highest there that grew, sat like a cormorant, yet not true life, thereby regained, but sat devilishly death, devising death to them who lived, nor on the virtue thought of that life-giving plant, but only used for prospect what well used to be, what used had been the pledge of immortality. So little knows of any, but God alone, to value right, the good before him, but perverts best things, to worst abuse or to their meanest use. Beneath him, with his new wonder now he views, to all delight of human sense exposed. In narrow rooms nature hold wet wealth, yea more, a heaven on earth for blissful paradise of God than Eden was by him in the east of Eden planted. Eden stretched her line from Oran eastward to the royal towers of great Seleucia, built by Grecian kings, or where the sons of Eden long before dwelt in Telasar, in this pleasant soil. His far more pleasant garden God ordained, one of the fertile grounds he caused to sow, all trees of noblest king for sight, smell, taste, and all amid them stood the tree of life, high eminent, blooming ambrosial fruit of vegetable gold, and next to life, our death, the tree of knowledge grew fast by knowledge of good bought dear by knowing ill. Southward through Eden went a river large, nor changed its course, but through the shaggy hill, passed underneath, engulfed, for God had thrown that mountain as his garden mold high raised, upon the rapid current, which through veins of porous earth with kindly thirst updrawn, rose a fresh fountain, and with many a rill watered the garden, thence united fell down the steep grade, and met the nether flood, of which his darksome passage now appears, and now divided into four main streams, runs diverse, wandering mainly a famous realm, and countered and country whereof runs diverse, wandering many a famous realm, and country where he needs no account, but rather to tell how, if art could tell, how from that sapphire found the crisp books, rolling on orient pearl and sands of gold, with mazy air under pendant shades, ran nectar, visiting each plant, and fed flowers worthy of paradise, which not nice arts, so fastidious, which not nice art in beds and curious knots, but nature boon, poured forth profuse on hill and dale and plain, both where the morning sun first warmly smote the open field, and where the unpierced shade empowered the noontide bowers. Thus was this place a happy rural seat of various view. Groves, which rich trees wept odorous gums and balm, otherwise whose fruit burnished with gold rind, hung amable, Hesperian fables true, if true, here only, and of delicious taste, betwixt them lawns or level downs and flocks, grazing the tender herbs were interposed, or palmy hillock, or the flowery lap of some irrigarious valley spread her store, flowers of all hue, and without thorn the rose, another side umbrageous grot and caves, of cool recess over which the mantling vine lay forth her purple grave, and gently creeps luxuriant. Meanwhile murmuring waters fell down the slope hills, dispersed, or in a lake, that which the fringed bank with the myrtle crown, her crystal mirror holds, unite them streams. The birds that choir apply, airs, vernal air, breathing the smell of field and grove, attune the trembling leaves, while universal pan knit with the graces and the hours in dance. Led on the eternal spring, not that the fair fields. So a while ago. Not that the fair field of Enna, where the prospering gathering flowers, herself a fair flower by gloomy Dis, was gathered, which cost Ceres all that pain, to seek her through the world, not the sweetest grove of Daphne by Orontes, and the aspired Castilian spring might with this paradise of Eden strive, nor that Nicean isle, girt with the river Triton, where old Cham, whom Gentiles Ammon call, and Libyan Jove, hid Amalthera and her florid son, young Bacchus from his stepdame Rhea's eye, nor where the Abyssinian king and their issue guard, Mount Amra, though this by some suppose true paradise under the equator, the Ethiopian. By Nilus' head enclosed with shining rock, a whole day's journey high, but wide remote from the Assyrian garden, where the fiends saw underground all delight, all kind of living creatures new to sight and strange. Two of the far nobler shapes, erect and tall, godlike erect, with native honor clad, in naked majesty seemed lords of all, and worthy seen from their looks divine, the image of their glorious maker shone. Truth, wisdom, sanctitude, severe and pure. Severe, but in true filial freedom placed, whence true authority in men, though both not equal as their sex not equal seemed, for contemplation he in valor formed, from softness she in sweet attractive grace, for he for God only, she for God in him. His fair large front and eye sublime declared absolute rule, and Hyacinthine locks. Round from his parted forelock many hung, clustering, but not beneath his shoulders broad. She is a veil down to the slender waist, her unadorned golden tress wore, disheveled but in wanton ringlets waved, as the wine curls her tendrils, which implied subjugation but required with gentle sway, and by her yielded, by him best received, yielded with coy submission, modest pride, and sweet reluctance, amorous delay. Nor these mysterious parts were they concealed, then when not guilty of shame, dishonest shame, or nature's works, honor dishonorable. Sin bred, how have ye troubled all mankind with shows instead, mere shows of seeming pure, and banished from man's life his happiest life, simplicity and spotless innocence. So passed they naked on, nor shunned the sight of God or angel, for they thought no ill. So hand in hand they passed, the loveliest pair that ever since in love embraces met, Adam the godliest man of men since born, his sons the fairest of his daughters Eve, under a tuft of shade that on a green stood whispering soft by a fresh fountain side. They sat them down, and after no more toil of their sweetest gardening labor, they sufficed to recommend cool zephyr. They made ease, more easy, wholesome thirst and appetite, more grateful to their super fruits they fell, nectarine fruits which they complaint brought. But the complaint boughs yielded them sidelong as they sat reclined on the soft dowry blank damasked with flowers. The savory pulp they chew, and in the rind, still as they thirsted, scooped the brimming stream. Now gentle purpose nor endearing smiles wanted, nor youthful dalliance as beseems fair couple linked in happy nuptial league. Alone as they about them frisking played, all beasts of the earth since wild and of chase, in wood or wilderness, forest or den, sporting the lion ramped, and in his paw dandled the kid, bears, tigers, ounces, pards. gamboled before them, the unwieldy elephant. To make them mirth, used all his might and wreathed his little proboscis close to the serpent's shy, insinuating wove with Gordian twine his braided train, and of his fatal guile gave proof unheeded other on the grass, couched and now filled with the pasture gazing sat, or bewildered ruminating, for the sun, declining, was hastening now with prone career to the ocean isles and the ascending scale of haven, the stars that usher evening rose. When Satan still in gaze, as first he stood, scarce thus at length failed, speech covered sad. O hell! What do mine eyes with grief behold? Into our rooms of bliss thus high advanced. Creatures of other molds, earth-born perhaps, not spirits yet the heavenly spirits bright, little inferior. Little inferior. Okay. Whom my thoughts pursue with wonder and good love, so lively shines in them divine resemblance and such grace. The hand that formed them on their shape hath poured. Ah, gentle pair, ye little think how nigh your change approaches, when all these delights will vanish and deliver ye to woe. More woe, and the more you taste is now of joy, happy but for so happy, ill secured, long to continue, and this high seat your heaven. Ill fence for heaven to keep out such a foe, as now to enter, yet not purpose foe, to you whom I could pity thus forlorn, to you whom I could, though I unpity, league with you I seek, and mutual amity so straight, so close, that I with you must dwell, or you with me. Henceforth my dwelling haply may not please, like this fair paradise, your sense, yet such, accept your Maker's work, he gave it to me, which I freely gave. Hell shall unfold to entertain you two, her widest gates, and send forth all her kings. There will be room, not like these narrow limits to receive your numerous offspring, if no better place. Thank him who puts me loath to this revenge on you who wrong me, not for him who wronged. And should I at your harmless innocence melt as I do, yet public reason just, honor and empire revenge enlarged by conquering this new world, compels me now to do what else thought damned I should abhor. So spake the fiend, and with necessity the tyrant's plea excused his devilish deeds. Then from his lofty stand on that high tree down he aligned among the sportful herd of those four-footed kinds, himself now one. He's now an animal. He's no longer the devil. Now other as they serve best his ends, nearest to view his prey, and unespied to mark what of these their state he more might learn, by word or action marked, about them round a line he stalks with fiery glare. Then as a tiger, who by chance hath spied in some purlieu two gentle fawns at play, straight couches close, then rising, changes oft his couch and watch, as one might chose his ground, whence rushing he might sure seize them both, gripped in each paw. When Adam first of men to first of woman Eve, thus moving speech, turned him all ear to hear new utterance flow. Sole partner and sole part of all these joys, dearest thyself than all. Needs must the power that made us, and for us this ample word be infinitely good, and of his good all liberal and free as infinite. That raised us from the dust and placed us here in all this happiness, who at his hand have nothing merited, nor can perform aught whereof he hath need, he who requires from us no other to service than to keep this one, this easy charge of all trees in paradise, so that bear delicious fruit, so various not the taste, that only tree of knowledge, planted by the tree of life. So near grows death to life, whatever death is, some dreadful thing no doubt. For well thou knowest, God hath pronounced dead to taste that tree, the only sign of our obedience left, amongst so many signs of power and rule, conferred upon us and dominion given, over all other creatures that possess earth, air, and sea. That let us not think hard, one easy prohibition, who enjoy free leave so large to all things else, and choice, unlimited of manifold delights. But let us ever praise him and extol his bounty, following our delightful task, to prune these growing plants and attend those flowers, which were toilsome, yet with thee were sweet. To whom thus Eve replied, O thou for whom and from whom I was formed, flesh of thy flesh, and without whom I am to no end, my guide and head. What thou hast said is just and right, for we to him indeed all praises owe, and daily thanks. I chiefly who enjoy so far the happiest lot, enjoying thee, preeminent by so much odds, while thou, like consort to thyself, canst nowhere find. That day I oft remember, when from sleep I first awaked, and found myself reposed under a shade on flowers, much wondering where and what I was once thither brought, and how. Not distant far from thence a murmuring sound of water issued from a cave, and spread into a liquid plain that stood unmoved, pure as the expanse of heaven. I thither went from unexperienced thought, and laid me down on the green bank to look into the clear, smooth lake that just seemed to be another sky. As I bent down to look, just opposite, a shape within the watery gleam appeared, bending to look on me. I started back. It started back, but pleased I soon returned. Pleased it returned as soon with answering looks of sympathy and love. There I had fixed mine eyes till now, and pinned with vain desire. Had not a voice thus warned me, what thou seest, what there thou see, fair creature, is thyself. With thee it came and goes, but follow me, and I will bring thee where no shadow stays. Thy coming and thy soft embraces, he whose image thou art, him thou shalt enjoy, and separate thine to him shalt bear, multitudes like thyself. And thence be called mother of human race. What could I do but follow straight and visible thus led, till I espied thee, fair indeed and tall, under appellation, yet methoughts less fair, less winning soft, less amiably mild than the smoother watery image back I turned. Thou following cried aloud, Return, fair Eve. Whom fliest thou? Whom thou fliest, of him thou art. His flesh, his bone, to give thee being I lent, out of my side to thee, nearest my heart, substantial life to have thee by my side, henceforth an individual soulless dear. Part of my soul I seek thee, and thee claim, my other half. What that thy gentle hand seized mine, I yielded, and from that time see how beauty is excelled by manly grace and wisdom, which alone is truly fair. So spake our general mother, and with eyes of conjugal attraction unreproved, and meek surrender half embraced leaned on our first father, half her swelling breast, naked met his under the flowering gold of her loose tresses hid. He in delight both of her beauty and submissive charms smiled with superior love, as Jupiter on Juno smiles when he impregnates the clouds that shed mayflowers, and pressed her matron lip with kisses pure. Aside the devil turned for envy, yet with jealous leer malign, eyed them askance, and to himself thus plain, sight hateful, sight tormenting. Thus they two in paradise, in one another's arms. The happier Eden shall enjoy their fill of bliss on bliss, while I to hell am thrust, where neither joy nor love but fierce desire, among our other torments not the least, still unfulfilled with pain of longest pines. Yet let me not forget what I have gained from their own mouths. All is not theirs, it seems. One fatal tree there stands of knowledge called, forbidden to them taste, knowledge forbidden. Suspicious, reasonless, why should their Lord envy them that? Can it be sin to know? Can it be death? And do they only stand by ignorance? Is that they happy state the proof of their obedience and their faith? O fair foundation laid whereon to build their ruin! Hence I will excite their minds with more desires to know, and to reject envious commands invented with design to keep them low, whom knowledge might exalt, equal with gods, aspiring to such. They taste and dire what likelier can ensue. But first with the narrows I search, I must walk around this garden, and no corner leave unspied. A chance, but chance, may lead where I might meet some wandering spirit of heaven by fountain side, or in the thick shade retired, and from him to draw what further would be learnt. Live with ye may, yet happy pair, enjoy till I return. Short pleasures for long woes are to succeed. So saying, in proud step he scorned turned, but with sly circumspection, and began through wood, through waste, o'er the hill, o'er dale, his roam. Satan's going around the sky. Meanwhile, in utmost longitude, where heaven with the earth and ocean meets, the setting sun slowly descended with the right aspect. Against the lean eastern gate of paradise leveled his evening rays. It was a rock of alabaster, piled up to the clouds, conspicuous far, winding with one ascent, accessible from earth one entrance high. The rest was craggy cliff that overhung, still as it rose, impossible to climb. Betwixt these rocky pillars of Gabriel sat, chief of the angelic guards awaiting night. About him exercised heroic games the unarmed youth of heaven. But nigh at hand celestial armies, shields, helms, and spears, hung high with diamonds flaming and with gold. Thither come Uriel, gliding through the even on a sunbeam, swift as a shooting star in autumn thwarts the night, when vapors fired and pressed the air, and showed the mariner from the point of his compass to beware impetuous winds. He thus began in haste, Gabriel, to thee thy course of lot hath given. Still got 4 more pages here. Charge and strict watches that this happy place no evil thing approach or enter in. This day at height of noon come to my sphere. A spirit, zealous as he seemed to know more of the almighty works, and chiefly man. God's latest image, I described his way, bent in all speed, marked his airy gait. But in the mount that lies from Eden north, where he first lighted, soon discerned his looks, alien from heaven, with passions foul obscured. Mine eyes pursued him still, but under shade, lost sight of him, one of the banished crew. I fear hath ventured from the deep to raise new troubles. Him thy cared must be to find, to whom the winged warriors thus return. Uriel, no wonder if thy perfect sight amid the sun's bright circle where thou sittest, see far and wide. In at that gate none pass, the vigilance here placed, but such as come well known from heaven, and since meridian hour, no creature thence, if spirit of other sort, so minded have overleaped these earthy bounds. On purpose hard thou knowest to exclude spiritual substance with corporal bar, but within the circuit of these walls, if whatsoever shape he lurk, or lurk of whom thou thouest by morrow dawning I shall know. So promised he, and Uriel to his charge, returning on that bright beam, whose point now raised, bore him slope downwards to the sun now fallen beneath the Azores, where the prime orb, incredible how swift, had thither rolled, diurnal on this less voluble earth, by shorter flight to the east, had left him there, arraying with reflecting purple and gold, the clouds that on his western throne attend. Now came still evening on, in the twilight grey, had in her sober livery all things clad. Silence accompanied, for beast and bird to their grassy couch and to these nests were slunk, all but the wakeful nightingale. She, all night long, her amorous descent slung. I got distracted here. Okay, silence was pleased. Now glowed the firmament with living sapphires. Hesperus that led the starry host rode brightest, till the moon, rising in clouded majesty at length, our parent queen unveiled her peerless light, and o'er the dark her silver mantle threw. When Adam thus to Eve, fair consort, the hour of night, and all things now retired to rest. Mindest like repose, since God hath set labor and rest as day and night to men, successive in the timely dew of sleep, now falling with soft slumberous weight inclines. Our eyelids, other creatures all day long, rove idle, unemployed, and less need rest. Man hath his daily work of body or mind, appointed, which declares his dignity, and his regard of heaven on all his ways. While the other animals unactive range, and their doings God takes no account. Tomorrow ere fresh morning streak the east, with first approach of light we must be risen, and to our pleasant labor to reform yon flowery arbors, yonder alley green, our walks at noon with branches overgrown, that mock our scant manuring, and require more hands than ours to lop their wanton growth. These blossoms also, and those dropping gums, that lie bestrewn unsightly and unsmooth, ask riddance, if we meant to tread with ease. Meanwhile, as nature wills, night bids us rest. To whom thus Eve with perfect beauty adorned, my author and disposer, which thou biddest, unargued I obey, so God ordains. God is thy law, thou mine, to know no more, is woman happiest knowledge of her praise. With the conversing I fought all time, all seasons and their change, all pleased alike. Sweet is the breath of morn, her rising sweet, with the charm of earliest birds, pleasant as sun, when first on the delightful land he spreads his orient beams on herb, tree, fruit, and flower, glittering with dew. Fragrant and fertile earth, after soft showers, and sweet the coming on of grateful evening mild, then silent night with this her solemn bird, and this fair moon, and these the gems of heaven her starry train, but nether breath of morn when she ascends with charm of earliest birds, nor rising sun on this delightful land, nor herb, fruit, flower, glistering with dew, nor fragrance after showers, nor grateful evening mild, nor silent night with this her solemn bird, nor walk by moon or glittering starlight without thee is sweet. But wherefore all night long shine these, for whom this glorious sight, when sleep hath shut all eyes? To whom our general ancestor replied, daughter of God and man, accomplished Eve, thou have their course to finish, round the earth. There we go. by morrow evening, and from land to land, in order through the nations yet unborn, ministering light prepared, they set and rise, lest total darkness should by night regain her old possession and extinguish life in nature and all things which thy soft fires, not only enlighten but with kindly heart of various influence ferment and warn, tempered or nourish or in part shed down their stellar virtue on all kinds that grow, on earth made hereby apter to receive perfection from the sun's more potent ray. These then, through unbeheld and deep of night, shine not in vain, nor think through though men were prone that heaven would want spectators, God want praise. Millions of spiritual creatures walk the earth unseen, but when we wake and when we sleep, all these with ceaseless praise his works behold, both day and night. How often from the steep of echoing hill or thickest have we heard celestial voices to the midnight air. The soul are responsive to each other's note, singing their great creator oft in bands, while they keep watch their nightly rounding walk, with heavenly touch of instrument sounds, in fully harmonic number join their songs, divide the night, and lift our thoughts to heaven. Thus taking hand in hand, alone they pass on their blissful bower. There is a place chosen by the sovereign planter, when he framed all things to man's delight, used the roof of thickest covert was inwoven shade, laurel and myrtle, what higher grew of firm and fragrant leaf on either side, acanthus of each odorous bushy shrub, fenced up in the verdant walls such beautiful flower, irises all hues, roses and jessamine, reared high their flourished heads between and wrought mosaic underfoot the violet, crocus and hyacinth with rich inlay, broidered the ground, more colored than with stone, of costliest emblem. Other creature here, beast, bird, insect, or worm, durst enter none. Such was their awe of man, and shadier bower, more sacred and sequestered. Though but feigned, Pan or Sylvius never slept, nor nymph, nor Phanes haunted. Here in close recesses with flowers, garlands, and sweet-smelling herbs, espoused Eve decked her first nuptial bed, and heavenly chosen the Hymenaeans sung. We're getting it on. The Hymenaeans sung is a wedding song. What day the genial angel to our sire brought her in naked beauty more adorned, more lovely than Pandora, whom the gods endowed with all their gifts, and too like in sad event, when their unwiser son of Japhet brought by Hermes, she ensnared mankind with her fair looks to be avenged on him who had stole Jove's authentic fire. Thus at their shady lodge arrived, both stood, both turned, and under open sky adorned, the guide that made both sky, air, earth, and heaven, with their beheld the moon, resplendent globe, and starry pole. Thou also madest the night, and maker omnipotent, and thou the day, which we have in our appointed work employed, have furnished happy in our mutual help and mutual love, the crown of all bliss, ordained by thee, and the delicious place, for us too large, where they abundance wants, partakers and uncropped falls to the ground. But thou hast promised from us too a race to fill the earth, who shall with us extol thy goodness infinite, both when we wake and when we seek now as thy gift of sleep. Then said unanimous and other rites, observing none, but adorned an adoration pure, which God likes best, into their inmost bower. Handed they went and eased the putting off, the troublesome disguise which we wear, straight side by side were laid, nor turned, I ween, Adam from his fair spouse, nor Eve the rites mysterious of connubial love refused. Whatever hypocrites austerely talk of purity and place and innocence, defaming as impure what God declares pure, and commands to some, leaves free for all. Our Maker's bid increase, who bids abstain, but our destroyer, foe to God and man. Hail, wedded love, mysterious law, true source of human offspring, sole propriety, in paradise of all things common else. By the adulterous lust was driven from men among the bestial herds to rage by thee, founded in reason, loyal, just, and pure, relations dear, and all these charities of father, son, and brother first were known. Far it be that I should write thee sin or blame, or think thee unbefitting holiest place, perpetual fountain of domestic sweets, whose bed is undefiled and chaste pronounced, present or past as saints and patriarchs used. Here love is golden, shaft employs, here lights his constant lamp, and waves his purple wings, reigns here and reveals, not in the bought smile of harlots, loveless, joyless, undeared, casual fruition, nor in court and moors, mixed dance, or wanton mask, or midnight ball, or serenade which the starved lover sings. To his proudest fair, best quitted with disdain, they're lulled by nightingales embracing slept, and on their naked limbs the flowery roof, showered rose which the morn repaired, sleep on, blessed pair, and oh, yet happiest if ye seek no happier state, and know to know more, and know to know no more. The summary here says of book 4 that Gabriel divides the night watch into search parties, assigning Ithriel and Zephon to other angels to closely guard the bower of Adam and Eve. They find Satan in the bower, so like their nest, something like that, and bring them before Gabriel. A battle impends, but they find Satan in the bower, whispering in the ear of the sleeping Eve. So their love bed, their nuptials. Hymean song. When the hymen is broken, right? Innocence is out the window. No longer a child, and then fully a woman. A battle impends, but is averted by a heavenly signal, and Satan flees out of paradise. Let me think about this a bit more. A woman is never innocent. That's the first thought that comes to mind, is that a woman is never innocent. In the literature and the mythos, because, well, a woman comes from Adam's rib. She is a piece of a man. Not that she is lesser, but she owes her life to a man. Women owe their lives to men. And that is what is pure. That is a pure truth. Women owe their lives to men. just getting up for a second here to get a... That's the gist of it. That's what I get from that. And especially if I'm considering Leviathan at the same time. And some definitions of the law. And since we're putting this in the fourth volume, and having the fourth volume having to do about justice and the criminal law system, or whatever you want to call it, criminal justice. Because justice is subjective, but the pure truth, if you go by, because you think about the law in Canada, right? Shame on he who thinks evil of it. It's about setting a playing field that is equal for men and women to have life and livelihood. And it's just talking about sole proprietorship, private property, the right to private property, inalienable, as given to you by God, as a piece and parcel of the Garden of Eden. Now, the Garden of Eden is in Africa. It's in North Africa. So the battle over if the angels are pure guardians, right? If they don't have, they're just spiritual entities. They're not physical beings, metaphysical beings rather. Their only interest is purity. Because what corrupts as a woman is the thought of leaving, the doubt, and the insecurity. It's like he's trying to imply that a woman's innocence is greater than a man's. And that men carry the burden of taking a woman's innocence. And so Satan flees from the garden after his deed is done, after he suggests and whispers in her ear, come with me instead. And I'll take you to the withering heights of heaven. And when I take you to the withering heights of heaven, you will want and lust for nothing else except for the pure presence of God. But it's a fallacy. It's like the Icarus thing. I suggest you think about this more, as I will. I'm probably gonna drink the rest of this and have a bit of a nap before I go back to work. I go back to, because he came up in this. Satan leaves hell, and he battles. He battles on the gates, at the gates, and he travels back down to this firmament, this level of existence, to corrupt God's creation. That for which is an earthly delight, is a bit of entertainment and pride and joy for God to see us prosper. Because it's always the two wolves inside the person that are fighting over what kind of person you are, right? So what do I choose? I choose wisely. Stay humble. And thanks for listening to book 4. And you know, we'll get through it. We'll get through this. You know, you have to go through hell in order to know what heaven is like. And once you leave the Garden of Eden, because the Garden of Eden is figurative, it's innocence, and is spoiled by the knowledge of failure. See ya. Focus, you fuck.